and welcome to History on Blast, episode 31, Best Served Hot. I'm Hillary, and I'll be your host, as in this episode, we put a bunch of dudes known as the Drevlians on blast for not understanding that no means no, and activating Saint Princess Olga's kill mode. But first, this month in history. On September 12th, 1952, two brothers, Edward and Fred May, along with their friend Tommy Heyer, told their mother Kathleen May about a bright object crossing the sky and landing on the property of a local farmer, G. Bailey Fisher. Kathleen and the three boys, two more local boys, Neil Nunley and Ronnie Shaver, and West Virginia National Guardsman Eugene Lemon journeyed to the Fisher farm to locate what the boys had seen. The group reached a hilltop and spotted a pulsing red light. Lemon shone a flashlight in the direction of the light. He described what he saw as a tall, man-like being with a round red face surrounded by a pointed hood shape. Kathleen May described it as having small, claw-like hands, clothing-like folds, whatever that means, and that the head resembled an ace of spades. The group claimed the figure hissed at them, then glided towards the group, causing them to flee in terror. The being was later named for where it was sighted, Flatwoods, West Virginia.
Hello, listeners. I'm Kay, a musical theater nerd.
And I'm Warren. I'm musically challenged.
We host a podcast every Wednesday called Tone Deaf, a theater nerd's guide for their musically challenged spouse. Join us as I introduce Warren to musicals he's never seen and test his knowledge about musical theater.
You have to have knowledge before you can be tested.
Well, you've come a long way, Warren. Now you know that Andrew Lloyd Webber created Cats and not West Side Story.
Is that the show with the Cobras?
And we still have a ways to go.
Join us every Wednesday for Tone Deaf.
Okay, so let's talk about Princess Olga of Kiev. Nothing is really known about her life before her marriage to Prince Igor of Kiev and the birth of their son, other than the fact that she was a Viking. Like, yeah, an actual fucking Viking. Kiev, at the time, was the capital of a loose tribal federation known as the Kievan Rus, which spans parts of modern Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. It's actually where we get the root of the word Russia. The Drevlians, a neighboring tribe, who you will notice that their name isn't the root word of anything, had a complicated relationship with the Kievan Rus. They had helped, they had been helping with battles, with forming this loose federation. They had actually paid tribute to Oleg, Igor's father. But they decided, we're not doing that anymore, I guess, after Oleg died, and then they decided they didn't like Igor. So Igor, who hadn't done anything really at this point, shows up with a really big army to try to tell the Drevlians, you can't do that. Give me tribute. That's your job. Give me tribute. I'm your king. Well, prince. And they did. They gave him tribute, and then he was partway home, decided, no, that wasn't enough, and took a little group back to go demand more, and they went, no? At which point they killed him, because he didn't have his giant army anymore. Nobody knows exactly how they killed him, other than that it was almost certainly torture, but no specifics were recorded. So, the Drevlians decided to send a messenger to Princess Olga to inform her that they had murdered her husband, leaving her 3-year-old son the ruler, and that she should marry Prince Mal, who killed her husband, because that's just what you do, I guess. And she would be the regent until her son came of age, because he was 3. But Olga was like, okay, so one, shittiest way to send a messenger. That is the worst way to find out that your husband is dead. And then 2, Your proposal is pleasing to me indeed. My husband cannot rise from the dead, but I desire to honor you tomorrow in the presence of my people. Return now to your boat, and remain there with an aspect of arrogance. I shall send for you on the morrow, and you shall say, We will not ride on horses, nor go on foot. Carry us in our boat, and you shall be carried in your boat. And those are the words that are attributed to her. And that's exactly what happened. The Drevlians went and they got back in their boat, and the people of Kiev picked the boat up and carried it along, and then they threw it in the ditch that they had dug overnight and filled it back in and buried the messengers alive. Now, naturally, the Drevlians were not told what happened to their delegation with the proposal. They just got a message back saying, yes, please send your most distinguished men, perhaps your leaders, so that she might go to their prince with due honor. And they went, cool, yeah, absolutely, and sent a bunch of dudes who were, like, in charge of shit, like the regional governors and things like that. She had baths drawn for them, invited her to come talk to her when they were done, and instead, while they were in the bathhouse, she had the door set on fire so that they burned inside. So, the Drevlians still have no idea what's going on, because she had not let any messages get back. So she sent them another letter saying, You should prepare great quantities of mead in the city where you killed my husband, that I might weep over his grave and hold a funeral feast for him. And she does. She goes there. She does, in fact, weep over his grave and hold a traditional funeral feast for him. The locals decide to join her retinue, and they drink a lot. Like they get fucking bombed. And so while they're completely blitzed out on mead, she turns around to her dudes and goes, kill them all. In a move that honestly kind of makes the Red Wedding look tame. Estimates for that put it around 5,000 people killed in this one attack. So at this point, she finally goes, you know what, I'm done. Goes home and raises an army to destroy the rest of them. Over the course of the war, they're obviously winning, and they end up getting stalled at the siege of Iskoristan, which was the city where Olga's husband was killed. They held out for a year, slowly starving, because that's how sieges work. And at this point, Olga sends them a message being like, why aren't you just surrendering and paying tribute? It would be so easy. You're doing this to yourselves. And the city's like, hey, we would love to, but honestly, we're pretty sure you're still looking for revenge because we've finally caught up with the plot by now. And she's like, no, I've killed enough people. I have so much blood on my hands. I'm very happy now. How about you just send me 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows from every house? That's all I want. And they were like, that's fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, lady, but alright, if you want some birds, we will give you some birds. So they did. Everybody went out to their own homes, and they got 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows, and they brought them out to her, and she went, great, thank you for surrendering. This peace is delightful, and I am genuinely so happy. And then she had everyone in her army tie a piece of sulfur to each of the birds with a length of cloth, and had them wait until nightfall. Then they lit the sulfur and released the birds. And the birds did what birds do, which is to say it was dark, so they all went back to their nests, in the city, in everybody's houses, just like they were told. So, the entire city burned. Nothing survived. Every building burned. The people who tried to escape the flames were either killed outright or enslaved by the Kievan Rus. Now, wildly after this, she takes what might be the most impressive heel-face turn in the history of badass Viking ladies, because she decides to go along with it when this one dude asks her to convert to Christianity. And she unites a whole bunch of the tribes into what will one day become modern Russia. She never remarried and eventually was canonized as a saint. Yes, that's right. The same woman who buried some dudes alive, killed a bunch of dudes in a bathhouse, burned an entire city to the ground, and slaughtered 5,000 drunk people, is Saint Olga to you. So that's going to just about do it for us for this episode. As always, if you have any questions, comments, feedback, anything at all, suggestions for an episode, you can find me on Twitter at HistoryOnBlast, or you can email me at historyonblast@gmail.com. You should come check out our Facebook group. It is a fun time. They help me come up with future episodes, share history memes, all kinds of stuff. As always, I would like to thank Defy Them All for the use of their song Keeper of Histories for the intro and outro of our program. And as always, thank you for listening.